A company that makes no revenue can actually make money in 3 different ways. Yes, you heard that, no revenue. And I'm talking about BMNR, the Bitmine Ethereum Treasury Company, and I'm going to explain to you 3 ways they can raise money to buy more Ethereum. Number one, the obvious answer is dilution. I'm just going to explain it over to you. With them, we have preferred shares and perpetual shares. To put it simply, what the main version of dilution is mainly good for the smaller ETH treasuries, which BMNR is. Basically, if the stock price is like $50, it takes some of the imaginary, let's take some of the money out of it, so now it's worth $45. And they can use the other $5 to issue more shares, and they get the money back from that. And that money they get back from that, they buy ETH. So every share they got, they actually devalued the share of every share, but then they took the value and put it back into ETH, so you're getting more Ethereum per share. So in sense, investors are scared of a dilution because it takes money away from the stock, but in theory, it just puts it back now or later when buying more Ethereum. The second and third way is preferred and perpetual shares. Basically, preferred shares is in between a stock and a bond, where the investor gets no voting power but gets a fixed dividend. A regular bond or a CD will give you from 3 to 5% yield, but this will give you 9 to 10%, 8 to 10% yield, which is why it's so attractive and why so many people actually do it. This way, they can get money without diluting, without taking money out of it. It's basically an infinite loop. It's kind of similar to like covered calls, where they give the investor a fixed dividend for whatever they're going to give them, and they take the money from them and they use that to buy the ETH or the Bitcoin. And then the investor gets a fixed dividend. The higher your fixed dividend is, around 10, if you pick a deferred share around 10, then you're going to take on more risk. What the risk is it might miss a payout, or you might not get any dividend if the stock goes down. But there's zero risk of losing any money. So if BMNR or MicroStrategy does amazing, they're obviously going to make more than a 10% yield they're giving somebody. And let's say the stock absolutely tanks, well then a dividend investor might not get their dividend that time. So basically the investor never owns any stock, but they don't end up diluting any shares, and they get the money. Besides preferred, there's also a perpetual note. This is the same thing, but it's a smaller priced bond with the average bond rate, which can later be converted into a stock if the stock does well. So they basically issue a bond a tiny bit higher than a regular bond, and if you like MicroStrategy BMNR, you buy this, and it can later be turned into a actual stock if the stock is doing well, maybe it's doing bad compared to what BMNR thinks. And this can mature forever. So Bitmine or BMNR, they don't actually have to mature the first one, preferred or perpetual shares, so they never dilute, and they're constantly getting money in and they're putting money out, but it's at a rate where they're basically getting money cheaper than when they actually bought the Ethereum or Bitmine. It's funny because Bitmine doesn't actually do these preferred or perpetual shares yet, but they will in the future, since Tom Lee loves Michael Saylor's plan.